Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this early for our session. I know everybody had a nice party yesterday, so highly appreciate it.
We'll try to
make it fun. Try to make it a bit fun, just to wake everybody in the morning. Okay, so our topic is related to electronic reporting, and we're just going to try to show some of the stuff that we did, sort of trying to kind of improve some of the functionalities for electronic reporting. So today I'm joined here with by Fernando Tudela de Santos. He's a D365FO technical consultant, and yeah, he's working mostly with electronic reporting. Some of you also might know him from his YouTube channel. So he's also famous in the Microsoft circles, the Microsoft community.
I don't know if famous is the word, but thank you. And here we are Goran. He's also a technical architect of finance and operations, of course, and from Macedonia. And he's the founder of Codeca. I am thrilled to share the presentation with him. It's an honor for me, and also an honor for me being here in this magnificent event. The second time I was here last year. So yeah, let's start.
Let's start. So, just a quick intro first. What is ER? Some of you might associate it with this, so the emergency room, but fortunately for us, today we're going to be talking about electronic reporting. This second one actually sometimes can lead to the first one, but that's probably just what comes with the territory when you have an extensive framework that tries to enable an easy way to configure your integrations and also provide different types of output documents. So you can have a different type of output reports, either in Word, Excel, XML, depending on whether you want to integrate with some APIs or print out a certain report. What it also provides is low-code access to data. What this means is that you can define your data structure. Those are the fields that you want to process and take out of D365FO. And then you can organize that in a data model. And afterwards, when you have your structure, you can then connect it to different data types that are coming out of D365FO. So that would include your tables, views, entities, static methods, or just initialize classes as objects and use the methods from there. Then you can use those data sources, provide different joins between your data, output it as a report, or send it over to an integration. What it also helps with is the creation of the different formats. So if you remember previously, the most popular format was SSRS. And for an SSRS report, you would have to go to Visual Studio, do the changes there, so the development, then you would have to deploy the report, wait for a deployment window to move that to a different environment, and all of that just takes quite a bit of time and effort. And of course, you would have to have a developer do all that. With the electronic reporting, you can do most of the configuration actually through the UI. That's unless you have any custom development that needs to be done, which is rarely the case, but still, most of it can be done through the UI. You can configure your structure, and then you can use the Office suite, which can be either Excel or Word, to create your output template. And the templates, so the templates then can just be uploaded to your environment, and in 5 minutes you have the new version of the report. No deployment needed, so no downtime needed in the environment as well.
Yeah, this part in particular is my favorite as a developer, because if you are a developer, you will know how counterintuitive was the designer of SSRS in Visual Studio, where you move something and then everything got fucked up. And there was not a trustful way to see if what you were moving was going to actually show like that in the screen. You know, it was so having the ability to at least design the format in Word or Excel. Wow, that's lovely.
It improves the process quite a bit, actually. And of course, because Microsoft provided framework, you actually get a lot of out-of-the-box configurations So that's everything related to order, invoices, payments, taxes, whatever you need. And the good thing is that you can either use those out of the box as they are, but you would probably want to change at least the templates. And you can easily do that by deriving the Microsoft formats, do your own changes, and in no time at all, you can have a new version specific just for you. The next, what is the Power Platform? I think most of you are already familiar with what the Power Platform is, but
most
yeah,
or all
of you, yeah. But just in short, it's a suite of business applications that provides different ways of integrating with different APIs and apps, provides a way of doing analytics and insights into your data. So, for example, the Power Automate, you can just grab some input data, transform it, pass it on to a different API. You have your data transformed to do whatever you like. And of course, it's a low-code platform for the citizen developer. So what that means is that you don't need a dedicated developer to actually do all of the development. You can just have a functional consultant that has the base level of development knowledge maybe, and they can just create a small app quickly and efficiently. It will work with most web API calls and all sorts of different type of connectors.
We heard about low code previously in this presentation. We talked about ER being low code. So low code and low code, we decided to mix it.
Yeah, so our idea was that, as we said, electronic reporting is great. It's easily adaptable to everything. But of course, it's mostly limited to this D365FO. And then the Power Platform allows for quick development and also easy connectivity with different APIs and apps. So one day we were just thinking about this, and we were like, why just not try and join the two and actually provide access to electronic reporting from outside of D365FO. So that's what we did. That's what we're going to show today.
But before showing the good thing, the money, the fun part, I want you to awake a little because yesterday was too much party. So I'll give you an extra 5 minutes of boring stuff so you can, start your body. So a little bit of context. As Goran said, electronic reporting, and I think mostly everybody that starts with electronic reporting starts by the fact of taking advantage of the Microsoft already done stuff, like electronic invoices, stuff like that. And suddenly you have to modify something, and a guy, the project manager, give you a task to change that, and you have no idea how to change it. That's how probably everybody has started with it. But once you start working with it, at least I started working with it, and I saw the power of it. I started to think not just as the bad thing I have to deal with, but a powerful tool. So I started to say, what if for new custom developments I can try to use it and that stuff? And yeah, Microsoft has an API for us that you can call ER from code. So you do you fetch the data contracts, the user input parameters, whatever you need to run the ER, and after that, from the UI, from F&O, you configure everything, the data access and everything. But, every time you have to run it, you have to write XPP. And, I'm a developer, and as a good developer, I am lazy as hell. So I don't want to write code. I don't want to write XPP. So we decided to create a framework so we could do it more efficient. A framework that it's basically a generic controller, data contract, and service, and some extensions to add to the UI, the configuration needed. Don't worry, we are going to go to that later in more detail. We are going to see that configuration and all that stuff. The thing is, with this framework, the next time I need to run an ER from the UI, from a menu item or whatever, I just need to create an extension not an extension, sorry, and inheritance classes, so, or child classes, children classes, for the contract, controller, and service. Ideally, for the controller and service, I won't need to change anything, and I will just put the stuff in the contract. But this framework also allows you to change stuff. Like, for example, imagine that you want to run something from code, but you want to skip the destinations. And you want to just grab the generated file and return it as a stream or as a base64. This is all contemplated in the framework. This framework is, by the way, in GitHub. You can get it if you want. It's in my blog. But this is not what we are going to talk today. Like, yeah, this framework is great. Look at the dog; is pretty happy. But we went a step further today. He didn't want to put this in the presentation, but I insisted. Maybe not the best idea now that I think about it, but let's just pretend this didn't happen. And the idea is that we want to consume the ER from everywhere, and we don't want to have to also extend these classes. Like, we want to do it generically. That's what we've done today, and what we wanna show today. So I think, yeah, some of you may be wondering why. Like, is this just two random guys playing with it and telling the set to us? No. This actually, the idea came from an actual business requirement in one of her projects, that it's a commerce implementation, and from the POS, that they had the call center and also the POS. I don't want to go into detail, but basically, they had an ER that they printed from the back office, and they wanted to print it also in the POS. So it was a Zebra-like ticket to send to the printer. The thing is, the out-of-the-box, or at least the team of the POS, the proposed solution for doing that was kind of tricky and a little hard to manage. So I just said, why not we try to create a service so we can consume that also from the POS? And that's where it started, more or less.
Yeah, and this would actually help because you also have the report on one location. So it's in electronic reporting. The functional person, developer, whoever can create it over there. And then you have the same report shared in any of the applications that you would like to use. You just need to call the API, you get the file back. You have a single place of developing the report and a single design for all of your applications where you want to use the report.
Yeah,
so that's a good advantage.
Yes. So after that, we also maybe want to print a business document from outside of F&O. For example, a third-party, I don't know, web app or whatever that wants to print a confirmation or an invoice, and you don't want to make another design, like he said. Yeah. And also, we can go one step forward or ahead, I don't know, and automate the integrations. That's also taking advantage of all these ER that Microsoft provides, because they are standardized formats, models. Government ask you a specific format, you already have it. So why not, instead of just using what Microsoft, the Microsoft processes, we can also create a Power Automate that executes this, for example, payment file and send it to the bank. We could do it with
yeah, because in the usual use case, you can generate the payments in electronic reporting, of course, but then you get back a file, and you have to do either additional development, manual movement of the files, define SharePoint location, or do it through FTP, whatever. But you're kind of limited to a storage location. And with this one, you can call the web API directly from an app. Maybe you're developing a .NET app. and you need to grab these files to process them or whatever. You can just call a web API, you get the payments directly. There's no middleman, no additional processing of the data or transformation.
Exactly. So let's see it. By the way, the Power Up, your electronic reporting is the title of the session, but it wasn't a coincidence. Maybe some of you just thought it was actually Power Up. No, it's Power Up with A and PP.
A and PP, yeah.
So let's see it.
Yeah, so just for this presentation, just to show quickly some of the functionalities of the API, we created a Power App.
Do you want me to
control
that so you can talk more?
Yep. Let's just start this one. I think you need to close the presentation.
Oh.
Just 1 second.
What's that presentation without some difficulties?
Yeah. And the other tab. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is just a proof of concept that we've created just to test the API. And as you can see at the start, the whole application, the whole form is empty. There's no data there. The only thing here is the legal entity. That's the only fixed data that's there. Everything else is being loaded dynamically. So when we click the refresh button, and hopefully the demo works, yeah. So now here we get the list of reports directly through the web API from D365FO. So this is to the environment that you're connected to. And you might think that this is a fixed set of reports that we have in D365FO, or maybe it's just taking all of the reports from here. No, what we did is actually provided us a way of configuring the reports that we want to show up here. And it's just one checkbox and two fields that define the contract and the model. I think Fernando is going to show this a bit later on.
Yeah.
But let's choose one report and see what happens. Okay, so now we get the parameters for the report. This, again, is being dynamically coded through a different web API code. And what it actually does, it goes to D365FO. It grabs the contract class for that particular report, parses the parameters, and sends back the response. And you can see that we have different types of fields over here. So in case the parameter that we need to fill in is a date, the date picker control is going to show automatically. If it's a text field, then you get the text field. And I think you get the idea. If it's a yes or no, you get the toggle button. So that's, yeah, actually we have an example with that one. So you get the toggle button, you can configure the parameters, and afterwards you can run the report. But I think first we're gonna see some of the codes of how these are being done.
Isn't it awesome that this is reading the data contract of the ER to run it? It's all dynamically. We wanted to show you how it works. So behind the scenes, this is oh, I started it, so we will see the Pedro stuff again.
Ah, well, that's always good.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun preparing these sessions. Okay, so as Goran mentioned before, the configuration that these are, sorry, I need this, yeah. These are the extensions that we show in the framework. This is part of the framework, not the API actually, but we reuse it, of course. So we need to tell the ER, okay, this ER is selectable to be run by code. Okay, this is the checkbox, and we need to tell we are going to run this, and we are going to provide that ER with a data contract, and that data contract is going to be called data contract. It's this is the object. This is a class of the type object. We will fill it with code, And so the ER will have all the parameters. And we have to tell also the model. So with the name of the format, it will go check what is the default model mapping for that model, and it will look for that data contract that we've configured. It will read that data contract, it will parse that data contract, and it will send back what are the parameters that data contract expects. So it's 99.9% dynamic. You don't have to do anything.
And you're reusing most of the stuff from here already. So it's just minor changes to adapt the report for this.
Yeah. Disclaimer, we just did it for data contracts. Probably we should also include user input parameters and queryable tables and that stuff. But I mean, we didn't have that much time for preparing everything. This is
but in any case, I mean, every report that you have that's contract-based is going to work straight out of the box. You don't have to do any changes besides these three fields, so configuring these three fields. For anything else, a bit more work included, but still you're using 90% of the development and 100% of the format.
Yeah, we will see that in more detail later too. So we have this is just a list that will list just the formats that you click as run from code. This dog is happy. Why? Because this is cool. I know maybe you don't agree, but it's cool. Then there's another service that once you get the format that you want to run, you call that service, and that service will give you, okay, this service needs these parameters to work, so send me these parameters. That's basically it. If it's, there's no an example here of an enum, but when it's an enum, of course, it's tricky, but because the person or the party, the application that connects to F&O needs to know the different values of that enum. I mean, it is like that with anything that wants to connect, even with DMF or OData, they need to know the enumeration, but it will say enum underscore not yes, for example, or ABC or whatever.
But that's pretty normal and standard for any electronic reporting development or X++ development. You need to know the enum values. So
exactly. And then we have the magic. Yeah, I was so surprised the first time it worked, like that koala, you know. So
you actually had a second surprise as well, but that was more on my side. So at the last minute, Fernando actually decided to add an additional report to this one, which is a bit more complicated. And I was like, okay, so this now it's going to take additional time to configure it in the app, configure the code, do the development. But then you just remember, okay, this is actually dynamic. So we just tried it. It works straight out of the box. No configuration needed besides these three parameters. Works straight away.
Yeah, I was trying to like be an average user and increase the scope one day before the presentation, just to bother Goran a little, but it didn't work because it worked dynamically and it went smooth. So no problem. And yeah, one little comment here. We have plans to refactor this, and instead of receiving a string that we will treat as a JSON, we want to receive an actual JSON. This is version 0.1 because this is ugly as hell, and you need to treat a little weirdly.
Just a proof of concept.
Yeah, this is a proof of concept. We will, by the way, clean it up a little and upload all the code regarding the services and all that stuff that it's not included yet into the framework to GitHub, by the way. But in the following weeks, I mean, in the following 100 weeks, you can expect to have it. Sorry, no,
yeah.
nothing.
So the slide here is actually the last call that actually fetches the report, and you can see we get the base 64 stream.
Yeah, I didn't mention the most important part.
Yes, and we can just let me close this one.
So let's see it in action. Right?
Yep. So let's try and print that package label report that Fernando mentioned earlier. So one example that we have.
This is based on the idea that we needed from the POS to print a package label.
Yep. So just input your parameters, set run your report. It packages all of the parameters, sends it over to the web API, and you get back the base 64. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time for this presentation to actually show a preview of the file, so we will have to do this. One manual step.
This is 100 custom ER. So we made it directly using a data contract, and it was easy. Yeah.
And then we can see that we actually get the Excel file.
You may be wondering, why are you doing it so low budgeted and instead of showing the thing in the Power App? Yeah. We didn't have that time.
And yeah, besides those parameters, of course, we have the standard conversion to PDF. So if we run that as well, it uses the framework from ER as well to convert it to PDF. And wait a second.
There you are.
And we get the PDF output as well. One more thing that we can try here is actually printing the logo as well, just as an example.
Oh, did you manage to include that in the end?
Yes, yesterday evening at 1 o'clock.
Yesterday that wasn't working.
We'll see if it works now, so let's see. So run your report. We'll see. And paste it here.
There you are, spam of my blog.
Cool. So as you can see, you can use the different parameters dynamically. It works perfectly fine. The payments that you mentioned. So one of those cases are the credit transfer payments. And for this one, maybe you can share a bit more what
you. Of course. This is one of the key parts we wanted to have ready for today, because the main advantage of ER, or the main reason to use ER, is to take advantage of already done Microsoft formats, like I said 3 times, but I don't think it's enough. So here, what we did is we needed to run, or we decided to run the payment files from the API. So we could potentially use it for integrate. So to show you that you can use this framework to run standard ERs. Of course, this is a derived from a standard. It has no changes in the format, no changes in the model. But, of course, and this serves as a good example. This ER is thought to be executed from the vendor payment journal. So it expects, it's just code that will get the current records, the current journal, and execute the ER. Of course, we can't just run that generically. There's no payment journal, there's nothing. So we needed to refactor a little the ER. So no code was needed. No code was needed for this. I repeat it, no code. We needed to refactor the model mapping. Now the model mapping, instead of expecting to receive the ledger journal trans or the lines of the payment, it will receive, or it will be based on a contract that will receive the journal ID, like you see there. And so with a little bit of refactoring, we get like with a 10% effort, we get the 100% functionality of the payments, and we can integrate it without having intermediate steps, either automated, like other applications, or manual steps to get the file and send it to the bank and that stuff. So yeah, we don't sugarcoat. This is not magic. You will need to probably adapt the standard ER to work with this API, but it's just adapting the way it accesses the data. Like adapting the filtering and using your contract, and then you're good to go.
Exactly. And we can show how that works as well. So we just need a journal number for this example. We run the ER report, and you can see that I unticked the convert to PDF. This is because we are expecting a zip file back. So no way to convert that to PDF stuff. Then we get, again, the base 64, and apologies for the manual process, but...
Probably, I know some users that maybe they would ask, I am receiving a zip, but I want to convert it to PDF.
Yeah.
But it's...
And we get the zip file back, and inside, of course, you get the XML payments file.
There you are. No code for this. We didn't write any code.
Exactly. And I think that the last one that we want to show is actually the sales order confirmation. This is also a bit specific.
Yes.
But you can...
do you remember that we didn't write any code for the other one? We did for this one, and a lot. No, not a lot, but yes, I wanted to also put an example of we wanted to also put an example of a business document, because most of the business documents are based on data providers, because they're inherited, like the code comes from the old SSRS reports. I know I said the old and that stuff, like if ER is the replacement, and in fact it is, but SSRS is not going to be deprecated soon, so don't worry. Business documents are based in data providers. So data providers basically is an object, a class, that has in it a lot of temporary tables that are filled, and then those temporary data, that temporary data fetch the report. You can't run a report from outside if you don't have that temporary data. So we needed to add another method that when this is a business document, it will get the type of the business document from the in the ER. There's a configuration that tells you the type, like if it's a sales order confirmation, if it's a sales invoice, it will get that, and it will run the data providers for that particular report, not for everyone. You will need to develop for every one of them. So yeah, it's not magic, but what you do is by code you get. I need to run the sales confirmation of this sales ID. So I run the data provider of the sales ID. I get the objects, the data providers, the data provider, the contract, and that stuff, and I send it to the ER. That's what we did. So yeah, so as we said before, we don't sugarcoat it. We needed to do some stuff with this, but again, we needed to change the model mapping. No, sorry, we didn't. For this case, we needed to run first the data provider, but once you get to run the data provider and send the data provider to the ER, then everything else is just functionally configuration. You can get advantage of already working business documents to integrate them. So yeah.
Yeah, and we can just show this one how it works. It's gonna be the same as for the other ones, so you can just check it out. Wait a bit long, and of course the type of execution is as long as it takes on D365FO. It's not gonna be any difference in that.
I mean, it's a report.
It's a report.
It always takes a little.
It depends on the amount of data, of course, and the processing. So. Yeah, and we get it as an Excel because we don't have the PDF marked.
There you are.
Voila.
That was run now. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't an attachment that we retrieved somewhere. No. We can maybe convert it to PDF.
If you liked it, but I think.
Yeah, I mean, we did the work. Let's play with it. Also, I wanted to share a reflection about all of this. You may wonder, why do you have a Power App, or what's the use case for a Power App that runs ERs? Nobody will. There's no real use case. This is just a visual way to show you how you can run the ER stuff and get back the base stream, the base 64 stream for your integrations. You know, like, it makes no sense to have the Power App. It makes no sense to change another browser. Maybe there
might be some use case when you would like to have a Power App, maybe enable outside external users just to print the reports from D365FO, but don't provide an FNO license to them.
Well,
for example.
Be careful about that.
Yeah. sorry.
This is being recorded.
We can cut that out.
We are not against, we are against multiplexing. Okay, don't do that.
Okay.
But yeah, it might be a case that you want to print it. I don't know. And another thing is, I think you mentioned when you call that there are some parameters like skip destinations, run draft.
Exactly. Yes.
Maybe I didn't mention that. Maybe I should have mentioned that.
So there's also additional parameters that are being used in the background.
Maybe you can
show those in one of the slides.
Exactly.
Yep. So actually, maybe you want to show? Sorry. So we have a couple of additional parameters here. You can see we have skip destinations and force run draft. So run draft is just to run the draft versions of the ER reports, while the skip destinations is actually useful if you don't want to get the output file back. And you would use this if you want to use the service as a trigger, as a way of a trigger. So you can just run the report, and then it goes to its own destination. So that might be, again, SharePoint or whatever you define in D365FO.
Yeah.
So that's also quite useful, just using it just for integrations.
Exactly. You could even, for example, create a new destination to send it to a printer that you have there or whatever, and just use the API as a trigger. So, for example, they could have a Power App, then say print, and then it runs the ER and it uses the destinations. For that, you would put the retrieve base 64 to false too. Like, for example, in the Power App, it's set to yes because we want to get back the base 64. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
I don't know if there are any questions. He was almost clapping. I don't know if there are any questions from everybody. Okay, 2 questions, but we don't have time. No, just kidding. Yeah.
I would like to share something with our customer from Spain, and I think 2 years back we were having a post developed in add-on, which is having a different product. But then this electronic reporting came in, and we got in touch with Goran at that time.
Yep.
It is like 160 reports we changed from there to electronic reporting, and
yeah.
Now that is working quite good. So there is a good use case also, which we have gone through. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Just wanted to share that.
You're welcome. That was an interesting project, actually.
Yeah.
It took a bit of effort, but turned out well in the end. Yep. And I think Albin. Yep.
Yeah. Is it possible also to run electronic reporting debugger in this scenario?
Sorry, electronic reporting debugger.
Can you see the debugging steps in electronic reporting using this scenario?
In electronic reporting, maybe if you set up the debugging in Visual Studio, but not the debugging that comes with the electronic reporting framework.
Or do you mean the ER debug? I don't know, honestly.
No, it's not going to be possible because you need the output screen actually to see what's coming out in the mapping. So, but we can think about it maybe for next year.
Yeah, maybe for next year.
We'll see. Yep.
Just going back to the last slide where you said the magic happens. So maybe a little hard to read from the back, but this is what you're going to share, right? Or is it this the magic thing?
We are going. Yeah, we are going to share the code with the APIs behind the scenes. This is a call to that API, And we are going to, of course, the API that lists the whole thing, the extensions that add the configuration needed, the code, the framework to run that ER from code in an easy way, and having the use destinations set to yes or not, convert to PDF, all that stuff. And also the services that, because what I've said until now, it's already shared in GitHub. In my blog, you can find it. And what we did here is we also created some APIs to get dynamically the contract and run the ER from outside. And this is the call. You send the data contract and you run the ER, and then the ER will either use the destinations you have configured in F&O, or you can grab back the base64 that it's basically the file.
So you're sharing that code, but you said you did not use code.
No.
Exactly. We don't use code every time we need to include a new ER. It's a code that you put once, you don't touch it, and it will work for new ERs.
And I'm not sure if you have the Postman collection uploaded as well. Maybe we can
Yes.
We can put that as well, so it's a bit quicker to test this.
The only problem with that is they will need the ERs, so maybe I can also upload the ERs.
It can be useful as an example, but
Exactly.
you would probably need to adjust because you don't have the same ER reports.
Sure. But in the following 100 weeks.
In the following 100 weeks, exactly. So. Yep.
Any other questions?
Nope. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining.